There are many playable careers that exist in Vermintide, and each have their own unique playstyle that makes them fun to play and separates them from the other classes. However, the way that these classes contribute overall to the team fit in a few specific roles, and the key to having successful games is by having a balanced team composition that covers all of these roles. But what exactly are these roles, and how do they differ from roles in other games? Let's talk about it. A quick disclaimer is that the idea of roles in Vermintide is, in essence, an opinion. This is simply my opinion on the matter, which other people may or may not agree with. Most commonly in games with multiple playable characters, the characters are separated into three main categories: damage, tank, and support. When people see these three categories, they jump to the conclusion that tanks are meant to draw and hold the aggro of enemies, damage focus on doing, well, damage to the enemies, and support aid their team by healing, buffing their allies, and debuffing their enemies. A mistake that many make regarding Vermintide is by correlating these categories to the roles of a team, because while there are different roles to a team, they do not fit into these categories well enough from the start. For example, there is no dedicated healer in Vermintide, so you cannot say there is a healer role to be filled. Also, every single career is capable of doing a significant amount of damage to enemies, so you could say that every single career fits into a damage role, which then defeats the purpose of there being a damage role to begin with. The only category that actually fits is the idea of a tank, but tanks in Vermintide are not necessary in most cases and can actually hurt a good team more than it can help. So if we can't determine the roles of a team through these categories, can we even fit careers into roles to begin with? We can, but we have to consider a few things first. Because every career is technically a damage dealer, we have to separate them by who they most effectively deal damage to. The idea of a support role does not exist in Vermintide, because while there are careers with supportive aspects to them or abilities, there is no career that purely focuses on supporting the team instead of doing damage. However, there are roles that sacrifice some of their damage to assist the team in other ways, which I would call utility instead of support. While tanks are a thing in Vermintide, a good team does not need a tank and would not benefit from having one on the team. So for the purpose of this video and finding the best team comp, I will not be including or talking about tanks this time around. Now that we've laid a foundation, we can begin to build our perfect team comp, which starts with a Battle Wizard. Battle Wizard is an insanely powerful career with the best horde clear and DPS in the game. The thing that makes Battle Wizard so powerful, though, is her ability to take on two roles at once with full efficiency, whereas other careers can only take on a single role at a time, or have to trade off some of their power to take on a second role. Depending on the build you use on Battle Wizard, she is always an amazing horde killer and can be either a boss killer or a special and elite killer as well, making her a staple in any team comp. Next is a frontline-focused career who excels in horde control and horde damage. Because Vermintide is a horde-based game, it makes sense that you need someone to face the horde head-on at all times no matter what is happening around them. The frontliner should ideally be someone who can take some punishment if needed, but should also be capable of dishing out plenty of their own as well. After that, you should have a utility career who aids the team however they can. You'll also hear me call these flexes, as these characters' main role is to do whatever is needed in the heat of the moment to keep the team alive. Most, but not all, utility characters sacrifice the raw damage potential that other careers have for various boons and passives that can aid their team. And while you may be tempted to overlook this role of a flex, it is very important to have one on the team, as they can be the difference between life and death in some cases. Lastly, you have a choice depending on the build your Battle Wizard runs. If your Battle Wizard is more focused on the boss damage, then you want a ranged career who focuses on taking out specials and elites before they become a problem. If your Battle Wizard already has that covered though, then you would want a boss killer for this final role instead. With these 4 roles, you ensure that you have someone to cover every aspect of the game and minimize any weak spots you could potentially have in your team. Following this guideline, there are many different teams you could potentially run, so here are some examples of teams you could try out. Of course, you don't have to follow this layout exactly to be successful, but sometimes having guidelines can be a good start to achieve perfection. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe for more Vermintide content in the future. See y'all next time!